Let's do. Where are my show notes? Oh, I have the freaking car stuff pulled up. The bullet.
Oh, that's. I was thinking of a different car. So technically, in John Wick, the pose that he does, like the sideways, the sideways hold.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's called the car.
Oh, because like your steering wheel wheeling it around.
No, it's like the central auxiliary. It stands for something. It's an acronym. I forget now. It's in my head.
I love acronyms.
It's called the car, and that's why a lot of gun enthusiasts love the John Wick movies, because like it's Hollywood actually like trying to get gun things like right and accurate, and like all the reloads right. Plus they make it look cool, and yeah, so it's called the car. So I didn't know if that's what you're referring to, the car and the bullet. Are you talking about John Wick again?
No, God, I am recording. So I might use it as like a little segment. So I don't know, because again, I got the recording going. I was listening to a Joe Rogan episode like 2 or 3 days ago, specifically because I have heard he had got one of the directors from John Wick for an interview. And yeah, they went in about like why it was so important for them to get the gun thing right, and the guy was gushing over Keanu and how Keanu was so interested to go into like the trainings, actually getting it right, and he's like one of the reasons why he was surprised about how well and how popular John Wick 1 got, because apparently that was his first time directing a movie, and all. The guy is actually a stunt double. His entire career was mostly a stunt double. He was friends with the director, and the guy was like, "Hey, do you want to direct your first movie?" It's like, "Yeah, I'll give it a shot." John Wick 1. It's like, what a hell of a movie to make your director debut.
Jeez, yeah. But he's a banger there.
Yeah, but he's like, if you compare like John Wick to movies like the military mockumentaries, like the this is what happened in Iraq during capturing whatever and Osama bin Laden and yada yada yada. It's like, oh yeah, you got like the clearing stuff down, but that's about the only thing they get right.
Full of loneliness and misery and suffering and unhappiness, and it's all over much too quickly. The question is, have I learned anything about life?
It's just like how to clear a room. Everything else is apparently just not well. So
center access relock is what it stands for, the actual technique.
Nice. I need to create a technique called destructive impact catalytic Kevlar.
I was trying to put it together.
Wait, is Kevlar start with a K or with a C?
K.
Okay, to make it sure. Oh man, this is gonna be a weird session. Hello everybody, welcome back to another episode of Essence of Zen After Dark. This is season 4, episode 4, if not mistaken. Don't make me a liar.
Change the episode number.
Right, just or in post, just flip it or something. I don't know. I'm your host, Zane's gonna call me Blaylock. You've seen me in every other podcast episode, so hopefully you know who I am by now. And of course, I'm joined with the Lewis Cam with my co-host, the studious Maximus. Well, I believe your wife has stated you had a pretty, nice gluteus maximus, Lewis. I give you credit where credit is due. Lewis, that must give it a K. Sandoval. Lewis, how the hell are you?
Doing well. I think I'm catching something, but other than that, I'm doing great.
I was gonna say you're catching these cheeks, but I said it was gonna be a weird session, man.
Reminds me of that like meme where like Tarzan like. Is this?
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Cheeks.
Yes. Oh God. Which I mean, he would be capable of doing it. Being in the jungle for that long, you have to imagine the man got like immense dexterity. Anyways, So we've been gone for a while, and to be fair, I believe at the time of recording this podcast session, episode 3 has yet to launch on the audio-only version of the podcast, and that's again mainly due to Anchor FM being bought by Spotify, and Spotify doing a transfer over to podcast for Spotify, and I have to work out a few more things. But episode 3 should be up for the audio-only listeners, hopefully by next week. But other than that, a lot of stuff's been going on, generally. Lewis, I filled you in on the chaoticness of my life. Feel like I'm, not Kendrick Lamar, who's, Kid Cudi. There you go.
Okay.
Dark Side of the Moon, if anyone knows that song, is pretty old now, but it's about juggling chaotic life. But yeah, so like, Lewis, anything new on your end about what you've been up to, or any projects, or just, whatever?
Just working home and raising kids. Living
the dream, man. Living the dream. Or for some people, I'm assuming might be a living nightmare, depending on how many kids, and they're all in their terrible twosomes. Like the episode of Family Guy when Stewie becomes super attached to Lois, and Lois has dreams about putting him in the washer.
I was at Sam's Club the other day on Friday. Saw one with 8. I was like, like, whoa, man, that's brave. Started loading up the car, and she drove like this like huge van. Like, I mean, you gotta, I guess, read all 8 of them along to Sam's. I see why I shop at Sam's.
I'm at Sam's like every week. We go to Sam's like every 2 months. They have to go probably every 2 weeks. Yeah.
At minimum, yeah.
Dude, that gives me an idea for like,
I guess.
Most likely. It gives me an idea for a sitcom. We could do like a family show about like a family, like 12 kids. Kind of like not like True by the Dozen, but to drive everybody around, they have to actually have a limo, like a civilian limo, just because of the size of their family.
Oh, jeez.
Yep. And if we put that in production, that limo has to be used in every single episode, because I'm pretty sure that would be like the biggest part of the budget. Yeah. Anyway,
we can accommodate up to 20 passengers if it's the Dodge, or no, the Hummer one can accommodate up to 20 passengers.
I think if you got 12 kids, that's like, let me stop, because I know for a fact there are people that have a lot more. So, yeah, I don't want to piss some people off. Yeah. What is our next topic? Oh yeah, freaking Google domains, man. Did you foresee this coming?
Well, I can't say I'm surprised that it happened. I didn't foresee it, but I can't say I'm surprised. Another one bites the dust for Google.
And another one gone. Another one gone. Another one bites the dust.
Bites the dust.
Hey.
Yeah, I just wonder why. Was it just charging too little, that they just wasn't worth it? It was becoming too much overhead costs to like run it? I just don't get it.
I honestly, I don't know either, but it's like because of because I'm pretty sure they were actually making a profit, and then they did the whole drop of the new TLDs, the top level domains. Like .zip and that whole controversy, and then they just sell it off. It's like, how is it? Are you trolling? Did you introduce .zip to cause panic and then dip out of the area just to see what would happen? I don't know.
So actually, I'm not kept up on the .zip controversies. Is that people are gonna think they're like downloading a zip file when indeed a web page, and it's gonna cause confusion there.
Cause confusion, as well as likely will have a lot of bad actors getting creative in new ways to I'm going to a .zip website when they're actually downloading a Trojan file or something.
.zip file, yeah. I see. That's pretty terrible.
Yes. So and I don't even get like, you know what, I'm not gonna rant today. That's gonna be the goal for this episode. Zane doesn't rant. I can tell you now, I'm not gonna succeed in that goal. But we are going to be impacted by this change, oddly enough, and well, it's not really that odd. I think a lot of people use Google domains, and I'm curious as to see what this transition is going to be like. And I need to contact Squarespace and see what their policy is on actually transferring out of their registry, whichever, and see if we can't move to Cloudflare's domain services, because I heard from Luc Lanfeniere from LTT that they do domains like at cost. And granted, it's only like what, a couple of cents here and there, totaling $8 every year extra in other places. But I mean, $8 a year is like, it's still $8, man. I could get, that's good money that I can throw down the 100 yards on a frozen lake. I think you should just click it. Yeah.
Just click that.
But yeah. So I don't know where they're gonna go with this in the future. And do you think this is going to weaken people's trust in Google even further?
Oh yeah, for sure. Like, I don't know if you know about this app called Beeper. They give like these updates every now and then. It's this app that lets you talk to people on iOS and among other apps, even while you're on Android. And every once in a while they do like community posts of like what's new in like each update. And then one of the updates recently, the developers are saying how they fixed this issue with Google Chat, and now there's no issues there, except for like, you know, when Google inevitably like cuts the cord. It's just a funny little like funny little joke for people who are in the know that Google tends to kill off a lot of their messengers. That seems to be their big one. It just never leaves a chopping block. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe next year they're gonna just kill off like Google Photos or something. I don't really know.
Oh man, That's all I can say. Yeah. Like this.
8 new TLDs. So .dad, I like that one.
I wonder why.
.phd, professor, ESQ, like Esquire. Okay. .foo, that's gonna, a lot of developers are gonna take that one. .zip, .mov, and .nexus. Oh yeah, MOV and .zip, yeah. Yeah. Why the .zip though?
I don't know. I legitimately, everyone was curious. Like, what use case did you think it would?
What thing came up with that? I think .torrent is one too, isn't it? Or no?
I don't know. I've only ever seen it used on a file extension. I don't think I've ever seen a.
Yeah, maybe I'm making that up.
I mean, it could exist somewhere, just like some offshoot domain registry.
Or some localhost file, I don't know.
You know, I think this could actually pose deeper questions for the IT industry as a whole, because the reason why a lot of people choose not to or chose Google domains over Cloudflare apparently is due to Cloudflare not having as much support for as many TLDs. Yes. So they kept it simple, com, org, net, you know, etc. While Google was like, yeah, boss the law. And now I'm assuming, will we start to see more discussions on, I guess, ideology? Like, should people be more like Cloudflare and keep it simple to prevent, I guess, well, no, because you're always going to have nefarious actors. I don't know. I would like to see discussions in the space increase around these type of decisions. You know?
Sorry, I just...
Did you drop your water?
So, no, like, you see this? It's a little chick squishy.
Yeah.
So I'm in the office right now, and earlier in the day, Tot and like we're throwing like these little squishies and sticking them on the ceiling, and they finally dropped and they hit me in the head. It was like, I knew they were gonna drop. I just didn't know when. I didn't feel like getting like the yardstick and whacking them off, and they finally fell.
Oh man, I'm gonna have to go back and see if that was caught. Oh man, that's awesome. That's funny. What were we talking about now? Like my attention is all in on squishy chicks, which can be misinterpreted. Please don't take that out of context. I'm a married man, so anyways. But yeah, I'm curious. So if you look on The Verge, there was a statement, or they covered a statement made by the VP and GM of the merchant shopping section of Google, Matt Madrigal. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that well and not stereotypical. But apparently they made the statement that they want to have the sale as an effort to sharpen the focus, or sharpen their focus, and that the company plans on supporting smooth transitions for its customers being handed off to Squarespace. That just sounds like your typical business response, though. So I don't know.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah.
Doesn't mean anything to me. Yeah.
Let us know why, Matt.
Just fluff, right?
Yeah. So. Which we're gonna talk about some fluff with some other companies and some deep. Oh my god! Oh man! I was inadvertent pun. Oh my god! We're gonna talk about a company in deep water too soon. I know. Oh god! Jeez! Oh god!
Some fluff.
That's. I feel bad. I feel bad.
Lean into it, Zane. Embrace it.
Look, so. Okay, look, listen, people. The memes and the jokes are phenomenal. I am not going to dismiss that. All right, some of the jokes have been top tier. It is too soon. It is. But I also understand that when you have a bunch of rich people who are doing crazy stuff that aren't validated, checked, or followed through, you have less sympathy. Again, I think I talked to you personally, Lewis. The only thing I have sympathy for in this situation is the 19-year-old who lost his life. He himself was not a millionaire billionaire. He was just the stepson of one who wanted to impress and support his stepdad, and that is a very sad and tragic situation. But as for the others, I mean, dude, you had the and apparently, and see, oh god, my voice went up. And that was like the ranting Zang about to come out. I'm gonna
catching your triggers there.
Yeah, I'm gonna pull it back down a bit. Apparently, James Cameron had came out for a few statements about deep submersible subs. And I know a lot of people say, "Oh, he's just a movie director." No, James Cameron, if you remember, he did the oceanic trench exploration. The dude actually knows. He was involved in the design of his sub that actually made it to that depth and came back. So the man legitimately has expertise and understanding in this area. And again, to quote the homie Neil deGrasse Tyson, do not just believe someone based off their credentials. Listen to what they say and actually see if you can disprove or if their stuff checks out with the actual math, the engineering, and the stats. Maybe not by yourself, but just check with other engineers. Anyway, James Cameron states that, that the design for the Ocean's Gate submersible was a flawed design from the start because he had seen those same types of designs with the two end caps being removable. You bolt them on, etc. But he states that because of the way that design is, it's just structurally not safe. And there's an alleged ex-employee from Ocean Gate who states that he left the company because specifically the management there did not want to do safety validation and safety checks. He said that the engineering stuff was not off. If they weren't going to listen to him, he was not going to be there. So he left. So assuming that alleged ex-employee is validated, which it sounds like he is because what those statements were lines up with what James Cameron is saying, who also states that he pretty much knew the fate of the people in the sub day one, after they lost communication with him, and that essentially the search and rescue was more so kind of to be blunt, it's very blunt, but it was a charade. It was just a thing to kind of make people feel better, to say like, oh yeah, we're still looking, but apparently most people knew what to expect. So horrible situation overall, man, but still some great funny memes and jokes from it.
Speaking of the memes, the sub shape looks kind of like a male thing.
Dick Johnson, get over here.
What is it, son?
I don't know, sir. But it looks like a giant.
Dick,
Yeah.
take a look out of starboard.
Oh my god.
To keep it PG. Yeah, I remember listening to one of his other videos, I believe it was on CNN, about him describing, I don't know if you saw this particular one, how the layered carbon fiber, the stacked carbon fiber, I forget the exact term for it. The issue with it is that you got all these materials bounded by epoxy, and that meshing of it, because it's not just all one piece, it's that artificial binding with the epoxy is what makes it weak, essentially.
See, this
Interesting stuff. The guy seems to know quite a bit about just subs and the pressures, right, that you have to withstand. He's like, nope, I'll just make mine out of steel.
Dude,
It's all one solid piece.
James Cameron is goated, and I you know, I'm not saying he's a goat in terms of his writing. A lot of people are very critical over the Avatar movies, which, hey, you know, the writing is very basic. It is straightforward. It's basic. It knows what it is, and it doesn't diverge from the basics. But visually, it's fantastic. But he's goated by being a modern day Renaissance man. The dude does almost everything. Writes, directs, visual stuff. Is going deep trench exploring. I would kill a man for 2-hour conversations with James Cameron, and you know which man I would kill, by the way. Was there anything else? Jamie Lee? Yeah. So I guess moving on before I put my foot in my mouth even further and I have people calling me super insensitive. Did you check any of the game showcase ceremony award / just events? There's, you know, the Xbox, there was a Sony one, I think Bethesda did one directly. I think recently Nintendo also did one 2 days ago, yesterday, 2 days ago. Or?
I generally don't watch the game ones. I usually just watch like game trailers, see what comes out. Like usually at well, I guess the recaps of CES or not CES, E3. But that's kind of nowadays the E3 conference.
Yeah. So to me, you didn't really miss much. There's so let me also preface. Matter of fact, I might have to diverge a little. Well, no, it's still within this topic.
Okay.
Nintendo. I flat out skipped Nintendo's event. Nintendo has been grinding my gears slowly, and I'm gonna keep calm. I'm gonna keep relaxed. I'm gonna stay zenful. Nintendo has been grinding my gears slowly for like the last 10 years, and they have whittled me down to the point where I am like borderline done with them. So to preference, and I think we've talked a bit about some of these points before in like last season and season 1 of the podcast, right? I can commend Nintendo for having the mindset of like, oh, you know, adding friends is not as simple, but that's by design. They don't want kids, who is their target demographic for their games, to be able to add willy-nilly people just easily. It's just, I'm like,
a little bit of a hurdle, right?
Yeah, and like, hey, you know what?
Thank God for children.
Yeah, you know, I'm not mad at it. It's a bit inconvenient, but it's not like, you know, catastrophically whatever. But no, so, you know, they don't want to do cloud saves because they're like, oh, you're gonna use that save file to like exploit games and stuff, and it's like, well, people still exploit your games. You don't need to use cloud saves to be able to do that. People,
is that why they don't do it? Huh?
Yeah.
That's what a weird reason, because you just have access to the, well, whatever. So there's ways around it.
Yeah, so I guess let me preface, because Nintendo does have cloud saves, just not for all games. And I don't know if you remember, my Switch broke at one point, like a few years back, and I had to send it into Nintendo. They sent me whatever, but I lost all my saves, and I was playing Pokemon. Pokemon is one of the games they don't allow cloud saves on because like, oh, if you have cloud saves, you can like clone and duplicate Pokemons and like flood the trading market. But it's like people are doing that anyway. Because of you, I've lost all of my Pokemons that I had already transferred from the previous games to that Switch. I had to start from scratch, and that did not feel good. But you know what? I bit the bullet. I was like, it is what it is. Whatever, right? Then they start using open source code for emulation. I ain't got a problem with that. It's open source. But they didn't credit the. And I believe the developer in this case, his name was like, or his alias is Feros or Feros, Feross, something like that.
I think I've heard of him. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, okay, cool, whatever. So, okay, and you want to bring emulation to your Nintendo annual payment services. Okay, that sounds reasonable. You want to still make profit off of your old game titles. Cool. Tell me why the GameCube, N64, and some of the NES games for those three emulators and their services run like hot garbage. If you don't want people to emulate your games on their own terms, then you should at least meet them with good emulators. You even use open source software from good developers. But your emulators run like garbage.
Like dog water. Hot dog water. My cousin. Nephew would say.
They charge people for it, man. They're like, oh, okay, it's grimy, uncomfortable, but hopefully it's one of those, they'll just get better in time. They've not yet gotten better, by the way. Then it's like, okay, cool. They want to target ROM sites and etc. I can still even understand that, Lewis. Did I call you Ryan earlier?
No. But where did you lose the thing? Where did you lose Nintendo? What was the final straw?
They targeted a hacker group, Lewis. Those darn hackers. Hackers bad. They're trying to steal the customer data. They're trying to steal your wallets, your social security numbers, and your bank accounts. Not these hackers, Ryan. So now I called you Ryan. Goddamn. Sorry, Lewis.
No worries.
Ryan is sending me messages about buying a new car. He's looking at Hondas right now.
Good for him. I mean, yeah.
Now I'm Ryan. No, so these hackers are people who do like mod chips for like old consoles, new consoles, like even the Switch. They're not reselling hacks of ROMs or even uploading BIOS files. They're literally just saying, hey, you can send me your Switch and I'll modify it for you. What you do with it yourself is you, but this is what we do. And Nintendo targeted them, and here and this is where it's like, okay, now you just petty. They targeted the social marketing member of the group. The social, he's like 50-year-old. This is just a hobby. He just kind of acts as the go-between as people to communicate, saying, oh, yeah. They sent the feds after him, and he got locked up, and he got released. But now he's like giving, 30% of every paycheck to Nintendo until the day he dies? And his last name is Bowser.
Yeah, I saw that. That was pretty ironic. Guys gonna cut him some slack? Maybe a slap on the hand?
If I was either the US CEO or CEO of Nintendo US or whatever, I would take this opportunity and I would be marketing and having fun with it. I would be like, yes, the villain, Hacker Bowser, right? I'll pull him in. We would be doing like, but no. Instead, you want to ruin this man's life over something that doesn't even affect your bottom line ideally, because guess what, people can still do the stuff. And again, it's not even attacking your games. It's not preventing you from selling Switches. If anything, it will drive sales because people will want to buy more Switches to have one unmodded and another one modded. So when my voice is getting there.
Yeah, I see you. I hear you. You're doing the whole like Rossman thing. That's what Apple did.
One day I'm gonna see if Rossman would actually join our show for a day. Just to be like, you know what? Sure.
Killer.
So I don't know, man. I'm just done. I have a Steam Deck. I haven't done it yet. I'm going to put on a Switch emulator. Nintendo. Look at me. I am the captain now. I am going to pirate Tears of the Kingdom. I'm not even gonna buy it. Typically, I buy my games and then I'll pirate for emulator if I do emulation. I'm not. I'm going to put it on my Steam Deck. I'm gonna play it just for, and guess what? It's gonna run even better on my Steam Deck. You know why? Because the Steam Deck actually has good hardware. The Switch, overpriced, low-end hardware.
Copyright law, man. It's such a clusterfuck.
Yep. Gotta do a little dance to calm down.
That's why I was pretty happy when John Deere finally got to them. With the whole GPL code, it's like, yes, finally. I'm tired of seeing like these giant corporations push their weight around for like what they call copyright infractions, right? I mean, I'm sure YouTube creators like are already done with the whole copyright things and trying to just bypass everything. Oh man,
it's wild, man. It's wild. And you know what? At the end of the day, if that's the path that they want to take, hey, they're free to. I would hope, I would like, and I would love it if more people was just like, oh yeah, no, that's fine. We're just not gonna entertain this by buying their stuff anymore. But we know what the layman does. Yes, I'm gonna take a sip of water.
It's hard. I mean, they do offer that unique like family friendly market that PS4 and Xbox is kind of ignore, and they kind of just go at each other's throats. So, oh, you're muted there.
Oh, am I?
Oh no, I can hear you. Oh, okay. Never mind.
Sorry. You know what? This is not going to be any long listener surprise. It's time to go on a tangent. Speaking on Xbox and Sony, do you know they're actually beefing in court?
What?
Microsoft is trying to acquire Activision. You know, the Call of Duty developers and creators, whatever. And Sony's just like, we don't want that because it'll be an unfair advantage, right? And the U.S. is kind of like, it's fine. We approve of the acquisition. The U.K. is just like, no, we don't approve the acquisition. Microsoft goes, well, then we might not just release games in the U.K. anymore. Which, hey, and some people say this is petty. I'm actually on Microsoft's sides here, and I'll get into why in a bit. In the U.S., there's the FCC that is having a stink about it. And so in court, I think the FCC, is it FCC or FTC? I think it's FCC, isn't it?
I might. Crap.
Sorry.
It's FCC with like wireless mergers. Maybe it is FTC, the Federal Trade Commission. One of the 3-letter.
The CIA. No, I'm just, it might be the FTC. It probably makes more sense for trading and commerce and etc. Maybe. And apologies to the listeners and viewers. Again, this is off on a tangent. It's not on our show notes, so therefore I don't have the sources and stuff on hand to verify and check while I spout out. But they're raising a stink with certain claims such as, oh, well, if even if Microsoft acquires Activision but allows the games to release on Sony, and this is an actual argument that they've raised in court, they might do things like have exclusive skins that are only on Xbox. Now, do you know why this is a hilarious, problematic point to make in court?
Wait, repeat that last part again. They're going to do what?
They're going to have exclusive skins that are only available on Xbox and not Sony. And that's unfair.
Okay.
Do you want to know why this is hilarious and just a stupid point to make in court?
It's not clicking for me. Help me out here, Zane.
Sony already does this and has been doing this for years with games that they have on both systems. on PlayStation, you can get exclusive skins or like exclusive characters or etc. that you will not be able to get on Xbox. Sony already has that practice in practice. Is blame
the enemy for what you're doing kind of tactic. Yeah, okay.
So it's like, yeah. So if you're gonna try to have these petty little moments, I'm not going to be mad that Microsoft goes, well, then I'm just not gonna release games in the UK, or if that's kind of stupid, then what, maybe we won't release it on Sony at all. That kind of thing. And it's really weird because even as Sony is trying to throw a big stink, and for the record, PC Master Race, and in terms of consoles, I'm actually a Sony pony. I think the PlayStation 5 is better than the Xbox Series X and S. So just throwing that out there. But Sony has also done things such as timed exclusives. And to be fair, they've started new programs like Sony for PC or PlayStation on PC, something like this. So, we got God of War on PC now, but not the latest one, because that's going to come out maybe in 2 years on PC, which is fine. But if you're going to have these distinguishes, why can't Xbox do it too?
Right. I mean, I can understand the hustle. Like, if you want first dibs, you gotta join the club, man. Sucks to be like, okay, fine, I get it. You gotta sell your own hardware too. I get it. I hate it. I get it.
So, do you know about Starfield, the new Bethesda game, Skyrim in
Yes.
space or Fallout in space?
Yes, one that comes out later this year.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm so freaking excited.
I'm on the fence, but
Same. Like, I'm actually editing a video. I don't have a lot of time to be, it's just also but I'm editing a video saying, yeah, I'm pre-ordering. I'm going to pre-order the game. And for anyone who's like, oh, don't pre-order, no, my stance on pre-order is, you can pre-order a game. Just understand that it's like an investment. You're not entitled to the game you think you're going to get. You're just giving the company money because you want to give them money and support. That's what pre-ordering is, flat out. If I pre-order Starfield and it's a horrible game, I'm fine with that because I understand what I'm putting my money towards. I'm just a big Bethesda fan, and I just know what to expect, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to enjoy it anyway because I am deeply engrossed in what Bethesda does as a gaming studio. You can argue
the risk. Yeah.
Yes. Fallout 76 is an oddity. It's a horrible situation or launch and horribly put together, but that was mainly pushed by ZeniMax to increase their value so they could sell off the company. But this is why I brought it up. Do you apparently I don't think it's fully confirmed just yet, but there's been some leaked or some alleged leaked information. Do you want to know why apparently Microsoft bought Bethesda or ZeniMax? Allegedly, Sony was trying to get an exclusive time deal on Starfield.
Gotcha. I see. It's a move before they can, essentially.
and honestly, it might be kind of a FU move. Yeah, but I total tinfoil hat moment. I need to actually get like a prop, a tinfoil hat somewhere over here. I don't know if you knew, so Bethesda had released a system for and I'm good. Sorry if there's the listeners and viewers are have no interest in this type of stuff. I love the modding community for games, especially in the PC community. But Bethesda had created a system for Skyrim and Fallout 4 so that people who play these games on consoles could download and install mods. Now it was very jank, and it actually caused a lot of problems for the PC community. But we powered through it, and we had no animosity because more people who can experience the modding community's creations, the better. Sony actually rejected the full functionality of that system. They did not like the idea of a video game on their platform being able to download and install content that was not in the PlayStation Network store.
I mean, I could get that from a security standpoint, but a game is entertainment software. I would think that its main purpose is to entertain, not to lock everything down like it's some sort of military range system, right? There's a balance there, and I think it leans more on the fun side.
But that's also the funny thing, though, because again, this system is in Skyrim and it's in Fallout 4, and there will likely be something similar for Starfield. So if you're Sony and you hate this mentality that BGS, Bethesda Game Studios, has for their games, why would you try to make it exclusive, even if timed exclusive, when it's going to be a system that you don't agree with? To me, that sounds kind of like they were just trying to be petty. Tinfoil hat. I don't know, but
perhaps who knows? We'll never know. Maybe I don't know.
I'm gonna call up some people. I'm gonna find out.
Call up your contacts.
I'm gonna call Jimmy Olsen, see if he can get some information for me, or some Peter Parker. Get some pictures of some Spider-Man. The only other 2 points I wanted to make in terms of the video game topic, though, is Avowed. I think Avowed looked good. Avowed is the Pillars of Eternity based game being developed by Obsidian, the same people who did the Fallout New Vegas game, as well as what was that game? It's a space game. It's very dialogue based. It's like you can. It's like an ode to capitalistic issues, because like you can go to the moon and there's like a bunch of businesses and corporations that essentially are like governments now, and like this guy he's a mascot that wears like this moon man mascot hat, face thing, the helmet.
It's sounding familiar. If it's not, a name is not going to mind.
I'm gonna find it in a second. Studios space game, but it was hilarious. The mascot is contractually obligated for 5 years to not be able to take off that mask in public. It is the most funniest. So you can talk with me. He's like he's in like the storage room trying to catch a break, and he's depressed, and you're like, oh, why the heck take it off? He's like, I can't. If I don't, I go to prison. It's like, why? It's contractual agreement. Why'd you agree to the contract? I'm in debt. And he's like, oh god, man, dude. Oh,
too much confidence.
The Outer Worlds. That's what it's called.
Okay. Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to Avowed. I have good faith in it. Again, it's what you see it in a trailer or at the showcases. Just, so it's going to be a little bit different. But a lot of people complain. They say like the graphics don't look not that it's good. Like they expected a more realistic design, and they kind of went with a more like comic / cartoon, like less details on the structures, like skeletons and things. I would have preferred a more realistic design as well, but the game still looks fundamentally fun. Like the mechanics, the whole thing is like you're like this awesome dude that is either going to save the world or destroy it. And if it's going to be that mindless fun, I'm on board. Games don't got to be these perfect things that appeals to every single desire. It's fine. If you don't want to play it, don't play it. If you don't like it, cool. But don't sit here and say that like, oh, Obsidian has lost their touch or they're making a bad game. You haven't played it yet. Ugh. God, I just lost the goal. That was a rant. That was objectively a rant. There's also a 33-player co-op game that's also dropping, I think, later this year, and it looks interesting. It looks very basic, but it looks
like, oh, like where are the mechanics there?
It's a shmup, kind of like the top-down. Like, you seen the game Hades?
I don't think I have, no.
What about Enter the Gungeon?
I have not either. I'm pulling up Hades though.
I'm trying to think of another one that might. There's also
Diablo, kind of like.
Yeah, but less point and click and just kind of more like you dodge bullets, you dodge like the floating balls and yada yada yada. Okay. So just 33 players fighting a bunch of things with just magic shooting in every direction. It might have a seizure, but it looked interesting. If I had to make a prediction, when the game drops, I think it's going to do very well on platforms like Twitch, Kick, Rumble, whatever, YouTube streamers, because people are going to have like, you know, their followers will be able to join them in the game and they'll be able to play with them. I give it 2 months and then it's probably going to like fall off.
It's yeah, fair point there. I didn't think about, because for 33 people, yeah, you get subscribers or whatever to come play with you.
So when this game drops, Essence of Zen will be streaming every weekend if you want to become a Patreon supporter to get in on playing with.
I like the sell switch there.
No, look, if we do play it, you can just come in and play with us. If you want to give us money, by all means, but it's not going to be required. Also, Fable is returning. People say it doesn't look that great because they didn't really show any gameplay. That's to be expected. But Peter Montalou is not going to be behind this one. And while I actually like Peter Montalou, his biggest problem was overpromising. So that hopefully won't be an issue going forward. But
Fable, I think in general, its graphics has always just been like, from the beginning. So I'm just kind of like, I don't know. It's got its own fan following.
Yeah. I still think Fable 1 is really the only good Fable. Okay, let me not quantify it by saying good. It's the only one that I don't have a problem with, because in Fable 2 they went really money hungry. They introduced some cool systems, like you could dye your clothes and like your armors. But guess what, Lewis? What do you think is the color that everybody would want for their clothes and armor?
I don't know, like silver or something, or brown. I've actually not played Fable. I just know the stuff around it. I guess the community around it.
Black. Everybody wants to have like the black pirate coat, or like the black robe, or like just the black hood.
Okay.
You know,
full black. Okay.
You had to pay $5.99 for DLC for the black dye.
Come on, man.
And I'll tell you, Lewis, I was a big fan of Fable, coming off Fable 1 as a kid, and I was working at was working somewhere, I can't remember. I was making money though. I bought that die. And you want to know this other sad part about buying that die, Lewis?
It wasn't that great.
It was not even that great of a shade of black. That day I learned DLCs are only buy ones that are actually like decent actual DLCs. So there you go, life lesson learned. Whew. Had you heard about Tesla?
Oh, that Tesla.
Actually, Ryan was contemplating. You read his Discord message. He was gonna. Oh man! So, what are your thoughts on Tesla opening up the supercharger network to other cars other than Teslas?
I think that's pretty neat. Because if I don't know, say for instance, like the Ford one's better, the Ford electric vehicles, right?
Yeah.
Now I have a giant network of things I could use to charge my vehicle. I think it's much needed to help kind of spread the network effect of it. My thing is Elon or whoever's in charge there for that particular division, are they going to charge them some sort of fee, right? Like Ford or whatever, for those vehicles to charge? I imagine with electric vehicles, there's maybe a bit of communication there, perhaps on like, hey, what vehicle is this, right? And maybe you could add some software there to limit it, or I guess they kind of already do that a bit, depending on how much you paid. But there's going to be some software there, I imagine, to see what vehicle it is. I wonder if something like that would ever happen, and then it's going to piss off Ford or the like, whoever, right? Like, you know what, we're just rolling our own networks. Yeah, I can see them going both ways. Right now, I think the consumer wins, but who knows how long that'll last, how long those business relationships will work out. But overall, for the time being, I see that as good. It's a trade-off, right? The companies have to like bow down a bit to Tesla. Kind of how what was it? Was it Ford? I think it was Ford, right? Where I posted that article about how they switched to their charging ports now.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it was Ford. I forget now. I might have gotten that one wrong. I do like that because I think that overall will increase adoption. Because a port, I mean, okay, maybe they charge royalties on it like an HDMI port. Okay, whatever. Like maybe that'll add an extra $50 on your, $30,000 car. Just a drop in the bucket, honestly, compared to 30.
I think they're gonna have to make a few changes, and like I said, they probably have it planned anyway down the road for any of the new. They're gonna have to do some refurb or modifying of the current existing charging areas, and for the go forward, whenever they make new ones, I think they're gonna make a few changes. So like, I recommend everyone go check out MKBHD's channel. It's either the main channel or it was posted on, I think it's called Autofocus, their car channel. But he has this whole thing where he shows like non-Tesla cars like rolling up to a supercharger in New York. He brought his Rivian, and when he rolled up, he saw someone there with a Ford Lightning, and of course they all worked. But he says like there was an issue that they didn't really think about. The charging stations, their cables are a certain length, and the stations are designed for where a Tesla's charging port is. The guy in the Ford F-150 Lightning had to go, front in, and because their charger has the cable on the right in that instance, he kind of had to take someone else's spot to use the one adjacent to charge his truck, and he had to roll his truck up, literally almost bumper touching the equipment because the cable was like almost too short to make it to that big truck. So, there's gonna be some growing pains.
Yeah, growing pains for sure. Because I could see the reason, right? You don't want to spend too much money on an extra long cord because that's some thick copper right there. Right, that amount of copper isn't gonna be cheap. Which now I'm thinking about, I wonder if charging network has to expand inevitably. If you don't have to start like cutting off like the charging cables and selling them, selling the copper.
This is gonna be like this new generation's form of hood ornament stealing. They're gonna just steal the cables.
I can always see that being a thing. Like already, like at my local Lowe's, they lock up like all the copper cable behind like a thing. You have to go get someone. Like, really? When I was growing up, it was like the spray paint because kids graffitiing and all that. And now they're locking up the copper coils. Apparently, people are stealing those and then recycling them for money.
Yeah. There's an episode of Simpsons. It's not surprised, right? Simpsons done everything. But it's the episode where I believe you're right. Bart becomes a cartoonist, I believe is the episode. Yeah, it was called like Angry Dad or Angry Homer. He created a cartoon about Homer being angry, and then the company went bankrupt in like a month, and so they had to sell stock, or they were giving stuff away. So they're like, the company's closing down. What would you like? And Lisa's like, I would like some stock. He's like, oh, here, sure, have it. And it's like a toilet roll. And he's just like rolling off physical, pieces of paper about the stocks or whatever. And then he's like, well, while you got the stocks, I'm gonna steal the copper wiring in the building. And he punches the drywall, grabs the copper wire, and then starts yanking it out the wall.
Bruh. Oh my god.
Copper, man, gotta love it. Oh man, what were we talking? Oh, the
charging networks and how the growing pains, right, of like learning of like, oh yeah, maybe these need to be a bit longer so it could accommodate other vehicles.
Yeah.
I mean, hopefully, I don't imagine that's too tough of a fix for a technician to go out there and swap out the cable. But yeah, I didn't think about that either. I'm like, oh yeah, that's right, because the ones at well, yeah, I guess it's different too because electrical charging stations, at least when I drive by and see them, is they're usually at the end. And the way gas stations do is like they usually put in the middle to accommodate both sides, right? I guess that's gonna have to change there too. Some people could do that as well.
So it's going to be an interesting thing to see. And the point you mentioned earlier about like potentially like Ford getting fed up with something that Tesla might push out later and then they want to go roll their own. Honestly, I didn't think about that because we had a discussion again for viewers and listeners. I'll have a Discord link if you want to join the community to have like view us having these random conversations. But Kelsey, who goes by Clordock, we're talking about like the other aspect of like the warring companies, and I was like, in the past, Ford and all these other car companies would talk down on Tesla, say that they're not a real car company, and then they succeed in certain areas, and they go, okay, well now we're going to start doing EVs, and then they still pale in comparison to Tesla cars, and then okay, cool, we're going to roll out our own network, and it's not that great. So then now they're going, okay, we admit it, it's difficult. We want to collab to collab. But it might just be a way to have their users, the customers, get by for now, and then as they eventually build up the confidence and the engineering and the designs to then fully roll out their own, then they'll break away later. I didn't really think about that. It could just be inevitable that they'll eventually just roll out their own when they can. Just trying to save money now by piggybacking off of Tesla.
Yeah, at least in my mind, it seems easier to roll out your own charging station as opposed to getting a deal to buy petroleum to then get a refinery. Right? That just seems like a higher hurdle and more networking you have to do there to source oil versus electricity. Well, there's a few different ways to do it. Go on.
You just reminded me. Did you see what Subway was doing? Wait.
Restaurant.
Is it Subway? Is it Subway or Sonic's? Oh, hold on, let me see if I can find it.
Okay.
Hold on.
I might not have.
So while I search, I'll try to explain it while having my brain do two things at once. Whichever company it is, Subway or Sonic, they're trying to roll out a new design for their restaurant buildings, and it's trying to be centered around EVs. So and I think it might be Sonic, because you know how Sonic you can drive up and order the food.
Oh yeah.
EV.
It sounds like it could be Sonic because you're kind of already usually just driving in. Not really sit down type restaurant.
Let me see. Sonic restaurant redesign for EVs. But the idea is you can take an EV car there, plug it in, and get some food, and then they also have like playgrounds. Basically they're trying to incorporate ways to just pull extra people in. You got to charge? Come charge. While you're here, might as well buy some food. Oh, you got kids with you, and charge is going to take a while. Get them food, then have them play in a park. That kind of deal. And like it's actually.
Yeah. See, if businesses start getting around that or start milking that could work out very well for them. It could be very lucrative.
Oh wow! It's actually Subway. It was Subway.
Oh, Subway.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
I'm gonna shoot you the link to the.
I would think Sonic would be better to do with that, just because of the way. I think also interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah. No, you know what? I remember, and the reason why I remember that it was Subway first actually was because they mentioned the playground, saying if you have kids, send them to the playground. I was like, oh, Subway, you might want to. You might. You remember?
I don't know if I'd milk that angle. I don't know if the public has forgotten about that one.
Right. So, but it's a really good idea. Like genuinely, the idea of saying we have a restaurant where you can charge your car and like do all these things. We have like smart. Good idea. And why try to make a deal when you can just make your own charging stations with your own restaurant, with your own playground and park that has Wi-Fi covering the entire area? It's just easier. So.
Yeah. No, that's if it's gonna spread, that's the company's got to get behind it. Besides the car companies, they're gonna do in the end. You need something to do while it charges. We're not quite at the super capacitor charging amount of time where you could just, charge like in 10 seconds and be on your way.
They call
It's pretty clever.
They call it the Subway EV Charging Oasis, which is actually not a bad name. So
Subway, eating, charging, Oasis, the Secco. Okay, I mean, it's not a... Okay.
Yeah.
This is not something weird.
Yeah. And Sonic, if anybody who works at Sonic, even if you might just be like an actual fryer boy or the burger flipper, whatever, get this idea. Try to contact the CEO. See if you can't use this idea to get ahead. And if you do, just remember who told you to go do that, and potentially just send me and Lewis a couple of $100,000 afterwards, on the table, so it's not taxed.
Minimum,
Anyway,
Is Subway a franchise? I think it is, right? You can just like independently own it.
I think you can. I think they still have like corporate Subway and then individual chain Subways. So I think.
Yeah, okay. I just verified Subway is a franchise.
Okay.
So each individual place can decide whether to opt into this.
Cool.
Yeah, I could make some money. That's pretty cool.
Sonic, I'm telling you, this is perfect for you too. Anyway,
You have to work better with Sonic, but yeah.
wait,
You didn't leave the car.
dude, I want if I was an animator, I would love to reanimate the opening to Flintstones. And you know how like at the end they go to the drive-in movie thing or whatever, and they also order a thing of ribs that ends up tilting the car sideways.
What?
You remember the opening to Flintstones?
No, I don't remember.
Yeah, it starts off with Fred. He's like at work and he's doing like the crane with the long neck, the dinosaur, and then the bell goes off. Work is over. He skates down the back of the dinosaur, gets in his car, and he runs. And he gets it rolling. He goes home, picks up the kids. They go rolling down the city. They end up going to either a restaurant or a theater, the drive-in movie theater type of thing. And the little waitress comes up. She's like, "Oh, what would you like?" And he goes, "Oh, I will have so and so." And then she walks away and comes up with like this really big plate of like dinosaur ribs.
Oh, yeah, I remember now.
Yeah, and puts it on the car, flips sideways. I want to reanimate that opening, and it's now the Jetsons, or like the middle between the Fred and the Jetsons. Still the same type of designs though, but it's an EV, and they take out the big old charger, plug it in, and they go, "What do you want?" And they go, "I want the ribs," and it's like, and like the ribs comes in like this technological tray, and when they put the tray down, it causes like a spark, and then like the battery just drains. I don't know. Anyway, speaking of nostalgia, have you seen what Motorola has been doing lately?
I got a little sneak peek there.
Oh,
They're still pushing the flip phones. That's pretty neat.
Yeah. They got a lot of flack. The version before the one I'm about to show the viewers and listeners, which is the Razr Plus 2023, because they went away from the classic Razr design and went with something that's closer to Samsung's flip phones. And I don't fault them. People said that the design of the original classic Razr just does not hold up in today's age. The big old fat chin that stuck out was just uncomfortable. It caused issues. It just didn't work anymore. Aside from the niche and nostalgia, it actually was a deterrent. It was a hindrance. So they went with the more generic Samsung design, which is fine. But now this new one, the 2023 Razr Plus, the screen on the closed portion of it covers the entire front closed in, and they have it so the screen is like the cameras, the two fat cameras are also built into the screen, which is cool. Samsung, man, you gotta set your game up, because Razr or Motorola is really driving the flip design forward. Holy crap.
Yeah, what's interesting to see, for me at least, is all these different little takes as like they try to kind of narrow down and refine the flip design, because it's literally a different angle on phones and phone because like phones nowadays, right? Candy bar phone, right? Like it's not like the early 2000s where all these different form factors are being tried for phones. Like, you know, you had your little clamshell horizontals. You could like type like the LG Envy, I think it was.
Oh, I love the Envy.
And then you had like the what is that first Android one, the G1 Flip or something.
Oh, I love that one.
Right. You had all that like experimenting with like, oh, which form factor will be the best for, you know, T9 and all that, or just like a full-on keyboard. You had Blackberries with that like fixed keyboard at the bottom, and just And I think now we're seeing that with these are foldables, right? Trying to see which form factor just fits the best for the operating system, just for people. It's fun for me to see.
Dude, I genuinely, I feel kind of bad because like tech can get really boring in certain, you know, waves. And there is a YouTuber. He used to go by the name Mr. Mobile. He goes by his actual name now. Oh God, I forget his first name. His last name is Fisher.
Okay.
Mr. Mobile. Is it Jeff? I can't. Oh no, Jeff Fisher is from American Dad. That's Haley's husband. Anyway, he has a series that's called "When Phones Were Fun." It's
Fisher?
Michael Fisher. Thank you. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Love that dude. He's real cool. He's a techie and he's a Trekkie. And Star Trek over Star Wars in my book. All right. I don't care. Come at me. I will fight you in the streets with my phaser if you want to get on this subject. Anyway, I would have it set to stun. Don't worry, not kill. He had When Phones Were Fun is a retrospect on him looking in the past at all of these cool, fun, quirky, weird phones.
Very experimental,
yeah, that we just don't see now. We don't see as often nowadays. And he's like, yeah, because back in the day, it was fun. Everyone had some different phones that would twist, you know, backwards.
The Wild West of phones, yeah. Everything's different.
Man, like, I want that again. I wish we. Same thing for operating systems, consoles, computers. We need more variety. We live in a society of no variety.
It's not about the money. It's about sending a message.
Let me show you how I got this flip phone. Actually, side tangent. I want to start pushing out a lot more content so we can get back, because YouTube is going to change their standards on getting YouTube partnership again. When they push that change, we will be eligible for partnership again. Right? Okay. When we start getting income again from I'm gonna say it from a company that I don't want to say on the podcast. I want to hire an assistant because, I need to check the EOZ emails more. Luckily, someone actually notified me. I almost missed out on a collaboration deal. So for the viewers, I will just kind of show on camera for a few seconds what you can expect in 2 weeks. Some reviews on these bad boys.
Nice.
So, this podcast episode was not sponsored. We're not going to talk about these on the podcast. I'm just kind of just a sneak peek. But yeah. So we're gonna have it's been a hot minute. We're gonna have a sponsored video, man. And funny, it's the same company. They actually sponsored us 4 or 5, 6 years ago. They had us try out a product, and I
the earbuds.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they weren't great, and and they was okay. I'm still glad they're yeah. Okay. So cool thing, but yeah. So Razer, Motorola. Great job. I can't wait to see what you continue to do with the phone industry. Please do not go away. All right. It's always sad to see when you got people like LG bowing out. You had BlackBerry bow out, which BlackBerry still exists. They're just a security technology company. They're just cybersecurity, and they're not
software or something like that. Yeah.
And they do good work, but they're nothing special, in my opinion. Nothing against BlackBerry. If you want to sponsor us, though, maybe you can prove us wrong.
Yeah, research in motion. Yeah.
So I don't know. It's again maybe it's because I'm getting older, but it's sad to see these big juggernauts just kind of fade away.
Need more players.
Not to quote a Logic song, they gonna know my name until it fades away. Phase away.
And even like OnePlus, I don't know. I don't feel like OnePlus has many bangers anymore. It used to be that flagship for less. Now it's like, huh? How much? Like, man, what made you big is not the same anymore.
And I get it. Okay, I get it. Everybody wants to profit. People got mouths to feed. People got employees to pay. You can have expensive lines, affordable lines, and cheaper lines. Oh, but some of these things just don't sell well. Use your marketing research and your sales data to figure out how much of which one to make. Maybe also, if you want to sell more of your lower end things, maybe potentially make them better, less bloatware, and market them better, and potentially figure out which niche you want, i.e. towards people's kids. A cheap, affordable phone that's actually good is a godsend for parents.
For me, because I'm cheap.
Cheap and kids break things.
Yeah. I just throw a good case on it. Autobox is pretty cool. Autobox, by the way, if you want to sponsor us.
Absolutely, man. Autobox used to be the jam. I would probably still say they still are the jam. But you know what? I got older. I got less clumsy. I don't rock a case anymore.
Dangerous for me.
I was gonna go off tangent again real quick, but I forgot what the tangent was.
D-Brand?
Wasn't D-Brand
Our sponsor, D-Brand?
Yeah, well, I'll get. Hey, actually, yes, D-Brands. If you, I love your. I just pulled out a knife like very violently or viciously.
Menacingly.
Yeah. And Louis, I love me some Damascus.
Damascus, yeah.
And I have you seen Linus's Porsche?
No, I'm not. You got a Porsche?
Yeah, he has the Taycan, the EV, the Taycan.
Okay, I was gonna say last I checked, he was like doing the whole EV thing, and then Linus, you're a chip man.
But no, I don't know if you remember. He kept making allusions to this D-Brands thing with his car, and he was not happy about it. He finally showed. They skinned his car in the weird acid, chroma light changing Damascus skin, and like I think it looks sick. I mean, I would choose a different color variation of it. Yeah, they went like the pink purple one, but it still looks sick. And to be fair, he set himself up with that because of his pink and green Lamborghini. So of course, they were gonna skin his Taycan in a pink and purple Damascus skin. But D-Brands, if you wanna, I will. Yeah, I like the designs. If you wanna help send me some some of that. I think they call it War Game. No, actually, D-Brands, if you're listening, bring back freaking bamboo, and mahogany. I have a wood thing. If you didn't know that, whatever. Yeah, a tangent from a tangent. What was the previous tangent I was trying to get off? I can't.
Something about OnePlus, I think, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah, because what's the guy who originally founded OnePlus and then like sold it or left it or whatever, then created Nothing. And to be fair, I like the Nothing phones design. I like the Nothing earbuds designs. I'm not a fan of the stem design stuff, but like the see-through technological looking thing. But I don't think. I think he's putting too much emphasis on the design and not the experience as well, because apparently those phones are just mid, and mid is fine, but you want it to be mid but dependable. And people are saying like the earbuds themselves are also like lackluster, so they look cool, but they sound meh. Just put a little more.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of companies that look good, but then just don't.
Yeah. So I don't know.
That's a shame.
I blame Apple. I'm joking.
I did our conversation about Volkswagen.
And Toyota. You know, he's like, okay, once you change,
Possible. But,
possibly.
I'm still holding out. I believe in Tessie otherwise.
Next general topic on our docket: movies. Lewis, have you caught any interesting movies lately, at all?
I did watch Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. That was pretty good. I enjoyed that recommendation. That was good.
Puss in Boots, dude. I'm not gonna get into spoilers in case people still haven't seen it, but man, like death is just the best thing. I'm biased. He's a wolf, I know, but he is so freaking cool, man. It's like, oh, you want to laugh at you laugh in the face of death. You're not laughing no more, huh? Are you, little kitty? Oh man, God. Sorry, I when you do scenes and atmosphere and moments, like phenomenal, the looking back and just seeing in the crowd, the eyes and the gold, like, the references across different mythology. It's again, DreamWorks. If this is what you're trying to put back on the table, yes. I am on board for the. You want to tease more? Somebody once told me. I'm on board. If it's gonna be like this, I'm on board.
Take my money.
Sorry, I stole your moment to talk about the movie.
No, go ahead. That was a hit. My son just started watching this like unicorn show thing from DreamWorks 2, like on Netflix, so he loves that too. I don't know what it's called.
Tell me right now, unicorn show on Netflix. It's not Unicorn Warriors, is it?
Maybe. Unicorn show. DreamWorks. It kind of look like seals or something, or narwhals. I think it's narwhals and unicorns.
Narwhal swimming in the ocean, causing a commotion because they are so awesome. Sorry.
That's a throwback.
We're old. We're old, Lewis. We're so old. Is it called just The Unicorn?
I think it's not quite narwhal. Yeah, not quite narwhals. Is the Netflix show by DreamWorks. I'm like, huh, okay.
Oh man, this looks cute as hell.
Oh, I see. It's in like an adaptation from a book. Okay,
Yeah,
so it's not
okay.
completely DreamWorks, but okay.
Yeah, I like this. I might look. I'm a grown man. I ain't got kids. It might be a little weird. I love cartoons. Cartoons has always been a big part of my life. It's one of the reasons why One Piece is like my favorite piece of work ever, because it's actually a blend of a lot of Eastern anime. You know,
One Piece.
Oh yeah.
The Netflix.
Oh yeah. No, tangent time, baby. Look. Okay. As a One Piece fan, right? As a One Piece fan, I was and still am really concerned about this live action adaptation.
Why does everyone want to make live actions?
I don't know. And specifically because like One Piece is like one. So here's the funny part about it, right? I think a One Piece live action project is really doable, but you cannot focus on. I think the better way to go about it is to not focus on the main crew. Have a completely custom story that's in the world of One Piece.
Oh, like if
because you can focus more so on just the pirating aspects, right? Because like if you watch the trailer, the scenes of like, the people grabbing the ropes and like going across to jump on the different ship and like Zoro fighting with the swords, that's cool. That's fine. It's not until you get to Gum Gum Pisto, the stretching of the arm, that it looks kind of like or like the Luffy uppercut doesn't look. I don't think Sanji's As close as possible. I still wish they would have did the eyebrow thing, but that's fine. I wish they would have gave him. Well, this is pre-time skip, so he doesn't have the beard yet. That's fine. Usopp looks amazing. Nami looks amazing. I wish they would have kept her natural hair and just like dyed it red. She has a wig on. It doesn't look bad, but you can tell it's a wig. Zoro I have no major issue with, but I haven't seen him with the sword in his mouth for like more than that one clip. It's just really Luffy and Sanji that seems I'm not yet sold on, and the CGI of the arm stretching. Those are the two main things, right? But the CGI of the Sea King looked fine. Buggy actually surprised. I liked what they did with Buggy. It doesn't look like Buggy. It looks like a very terrifying Joker to be real with you, but I don't know. I'm gonna watch it, but I don't have high hopes for it. Let's just leave it there, I guess.
Not by M. Night Shyamalan, is it?
No.
Okay.
No.
There's still a chance.
Yes. Yeah. But no, so one of the reasons why I like One Piece of Light is because it's a great mixture of a lot of the Eastern anime aspects with a touch of Western cartoons. Not to get into too much spoilers for like anime only viewers who aren't manga readers of One Piece, but they should know about like Gear 5 already. They should at least know some general information about it. Gear 5 is a complete ode to Western cartoons. Like, I'm talking about Tom and Jerry, Bugs Bunny, like the works, right? I'm talking Toon Force, like reaching behind your back, pulling out an anvil, spinning your legs really quickly and running on air. Lewis, I'll send you some panel shots later so you can see like just how crazy and wacky it is. But anyway, I'm trying to sum it up to say I love cartoons. It's a big part of my life. Before I die, I want to actually be able to publish a cartoon in my life. So I will sit down and I will watch even cartoons that were made for children. That's all. That's the point I was trying to drive home. Lewis is giving me that. I don't want to be friends with you, man. You're weird. Look.
Oh, if I'm making weird faces, I'm also like fasting today, so I'm getting some hunger pains. It's not till like you get to like I'd say maybe like hour 28, like 30, they go away. But yeah, I'm in that like hunger pains thing. So it's not on the topic.
I salute you, man.
Thank you.
I guess back into the actual topic point. So was there any other movies, or was just Puss in Boots the only one?
See, Puss in Boots, I enjoyed that. Any newer movies I've seen besides that? Actually, I did see the Mario movie.
Oh, what you think?
I loved it. I enjoyed it. Yeah, I enjoyed it. I think they did pretty good. I liked the direction. Made a nod to a lot of things. I don't think they threw some adult humor in there, but it was still they threw some references. I think that not necessarily adults. I guess it would be adults, but people who've been around the Mario universe would understand Nintendo universe. So they enjoy that. Yeah. Just little things like that. I did enjoy those things. I really liked it. I forgot if we got it or whatever. I think we saw it. I forget. But I really did enjoy it.
Same. Again, I don't want to dive too deep on the podcast in case people haven't seen it who still want to go watch it. Look, it's a stupid movie, but because it's Mario. Like, Mario's not complex. It's not deep. There's nothing. It's a good Mario movie because it's a lot of Mario. If I had to say anything to critique about it, I would say the two weakest points, in my opinion, are Peach. I think she acts too much, or I think she acts more like Daisy. And aside from that, I think there's a lot of just weird choices.
Yes, yeah. I did get that too. I'm like, she's the character feels a little out of place here. And I get it. They probably didn't want to do Peach as an airhead, but you can still have like Peach as a competent princess / queen without going into the weirdly different direction that they went into. Again, not bad, just
some. It feels odd, or it felt odd to me.
Yeah.
Luigi, not as a character, but as in like it felt like they didn't know what to do with him in the movie.
Okay. Throw me like a small example that might be kind of tough without giving a reference.
Right. So aside from the very beginning and the ending sequence, he doesn't really, because he's in one spot for a large chunk of the movie, and it's like
development.
Yeah, like
I felt that a bit too.
I thought they were gonna do more because he was exploring this one spot before he ran into so and so and such, and then
Did you think Luigi's Mansion too?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I was going. Like, oh, they're gonna do like the accidental like brave guy, but they didn't lean into that.
Yeah,
it's you picked up the same things I did.
Yeah, and to be fair, I believe they just announced, because the movie has apparently been doing really well. Nintendo greenlit the who animated was it? It wasn't DreamWorks. It was
No, it was some different studio. I imagine. I saw some Japanese names in there, so I'm assuming Nintendo Japan was overlooking it a little bit.
Hold on. Universal Pictures. That's who it was.
Yeah.
So Nintendo greenlit Universal Pictures for more Nintendo movies, and they've announced that there will be a Zelda project, and they will also be doing a Luigi's Mansion project. So I'm assuming they probably pulled back to see if they could get a dedicated Luigi's Mansion. But
okay, see,
but even still,
okay, they
could have did more with them.
They could have done more, yeah. I can't think off the top of my head of how they could have done that scene, but I just, yeah, I think he needed more development there.
Yeah.
Speaking of the references, I mean, I guess I could talk about this since it's in the trailer, but the whole Rainbow Road thing, that was pretty clever, right? Because you're getting different sections from different games. Rainbow Road. We talked about the Luigi's Mansion thing, but I don't think that's really given much away. Because it's not really Luigi's Mansion. It seems like it's going to go into that direction.
Did you hear the original theory for the Mario movie?
No, what was it?
Because the trailers were showing off Donkey Kong, Mario, Luigi, Peach. I believe there was some other ones shown like for a second, but they thought they were going to try to do a Marvel-esque thing and lead up to the Super Smash Brothers, which they still might.
Huh.
They still might if we get like a Captain Falcon and the F-Zero. We're getting a
I
Zelda
don't know
movie.
how I feel about that. Are they getting a Zelda movie?
We're gonna get a Zelda movie, so
Interesting. Okay.
if we get a Metroid movie later as well, they would start building the cast. And then you gotta ask who.
You got it right.
And again, to not give too much away, like who is responsible for what's under New York City? You can play around with maybe it's the hand or something. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
Maybe.
And it might not be like legitimately Super Smash Bros. Where everyone just fights each other, but more so literally everybody kind of runs into each other in a massive
Brawl type.
end game-esque. We gotta save the multiverse.
Super Polygon T.
Oh, Mr. Game & Watch. I would love to see what they would do with Mr. Game & Watch.
Oh my god.
Sorry, for viewers out there, I used to main Mr. Game & Watch. I was yeah. Anyway, but yeah.
Did you catch that reference at the beginning? With the commercial that they made, that was a nod to the original Mario Brothers series from like the 90s or something, or it might have been the 80s.
Yeah.
I got that. That was pretty funny.
Again,
little things in there that they hide.
This movie is not that deep. It knew exactly what it wanted to be and what it needed to be, and it fired off on all cylinders.
Did you call it a number? I pause the video.
Yes.
Pause the number.
What? You're going to my yeah. It's. I wonder how long they're gonna keep that.
Yeah, who knows? I really love how you lean into it though.
Yeah.
I imagine someone's recorded and put it up on YouTube by now, immortalize it or something.
Companies, be more mindful about archival. All right, I'm kind of biased with this subject now. My wife is an archivist, and too often cool things like this get just lost to the annals of time. And so, just be more mindful. Archive your stuff, back it up. If you don't want to do it, I'm talking to you directly, Nintendo of all people. If you don't want to do it, allow your community to do it, and don't target them and harass them for doing what you should be doing. Anyway, but yeah. So you haven't caught Spider-Man Miles Morales Across the Spider-Verse yet?
I've not. No.
Oh man, have you seen the first one, Into the Spider-Verse?
No, I've not.
Yeah, oh, dude,
I'm like that far behind.
Oh,
I don't know. It's become numb to Marvel. Is it that good?
Yes. Look, so I think I've said it before. I don't watch. I am on a personal restriction. I don't watch MCU movies anymore. I don't watch DC live action movies anymore. I'm done with them both. I'm so fed up with the directions and the choices made and the lack of support. To not go too far off in certain aspects, I feel that, especially for the MCU, there's just a lot of pandering without any real core respect to a lot of these characters. Like they dropped the ball with Miss Marvel. They dropped the ball with Captain Marvel. They dropped the ball with Monica Rambeau. They're doing the Marvel Girls movies, which hopefully does well. But again, you haven't established Monica Rambeau well enough. How are you just gonna bring all three together without the history of the Marvels? Like you're not. So it feels like they're just trying to get stuff out that will draw in a crowd just to make some quick money without actually respecting the characters.
Source material.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't even care about source.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, dude, take your liberties. If you want to change stuff, okay, fine, whatever. But don't just do it willy-nilly. The fact that Thor: Love and Thunder just brought Jane back, and she has Mjolnir, and she's Lady Thor now, and they did no build up for her to get into that role. And spoiler alert, because I haven't watched it, but I had a friend tell me about it. Unless he lied to me, she won't be seen again in the stories. So it's like it's just a one-off.
A token character just to check. Oh man, I hate it when that happens.
So hey buddy. What was my train of thought? I don't know, man. I just and then the Flash released, and I'm not gonna watch it.
I'm not watching that one for different reasons.
Yeah, exactly, right.
I think the community knows why.
And I just look, I don't want to. This podcast is not that. We don't cover those subjects and topics.
We're not that deep.
Right. Look, but to be clear, I am a supporter on a very general, basic human level of the LGBT community, right? But I do find it a bit suspicious, weird, and concerning that certain actors who fall under certain groups is getting a lot of passes and a lot of just not being held accountable. Whereas I don't know if you remember the whole Jonathan Majors, the guy who does Kang in the MCU, the one the latest Ant-Man
I don't
movie.
think you've caught that story yet.
He's the black actor who was also in the latest Creed movie, Creed 3, the antagonist. I can
Not ringing any bells. Sorry.
It's fine, but he got he was in a situation where he was accused of domestic abuse, and he had a lot of his sponsors, his magazine deals, all that was pulled from him. Recently, a lot of information came out basically proving he didn't do it. And it's like literally just the mention of him potentially doing it had him being pulled out of so many things. Yet you have other actors who has done like 12 various different levels of assault, various different things of and
Yeah, some paper trail essentially. Yeah.
So I get a little peeved at that, and then of course, you know, I'm a big DC fan, and I'm just like, y'all are just, I don't know what. All this to say, Miles Morales, Into the Spider-Verse, and Across the Spider-Verse is completely separate from all of that, and it's actually good. Both.
Okay.
The second movie. Yes, and Across the Spider-Verse, I would say is a damn near close perfect movie. I have one gripe with it, and I legitimately cannot talk about it on this podcast. It is a big story element, and I will say, because I believe this information is public information even before the movie came out. Across the Spider-Verse is separated by parts. So the movie ends as a part 1, and there'll be a part 2 releasing later.
Okay.
And so the gripe that I have might be addressed in part 2. It might be. I don't think it will, though. So I'm trying to hold. It's a very minor grip, but it's like it's one of those things where I got one of my nerd cards removed from me many years ago because I said I could not get into Doctor Who because I saw a clip and they were trying to talk about like time travel and multiverse stuff, and he just brushed it off by going, "Oh, it's just timey-wimey stuff." And I was just like, don't just brush that. No. And it's a pet peeve. It's what peed me off about Endgame. You can't just establish multiverse rules and then just kind of be loose with following those guidelines and these.
Yeah, I get you. Like it's in the world of fiction, but still needs to be grounded on some reality, or else anything can happen, right?
Yes,
it needs some sort of grounding. Yeah, I get you.
Do you remember my biggest complaint about Ant-Man 1?
Well, what was it?
It might have been Ant-Man. I think it was Ant-Man 1. I can't. They made a statement by saying, "Oh yeah, when you shrink, mass stays constant." That was a plot point that was mentioned in the movie about the science of the shrinking mechanics in the movie. And then later, towards the end of the movie, a tank on a keychain, Lewis. And then he makes it big, and it's an actual tank. But if mass stays constant, and if you've stated that and acknowledged that,
you gotta play by the same rules, yeah.
I'm a nerd. I'm a geek. I get it. But
I feel you. No, I feel you, man.
But anyone listening and viewing out there, Miles Morales, Into the Spider-Verse, Across the Spider-Verse, go watch it. Phenomenal movies. They do Marvel justice. Okay. Yeah, we are an hour and a half in. I'm also gonna say I rewatched John Wick 3. I'm gonna watch John Wick 4. Can't wait. John Wick is awesome. Go watch it. It's just John Wick. If you are also interested in some more backgrounds, there is a Joe Rogan podcast with the original director of John Wick 1, who also was on the projects for all the other John Wicks. They have a lot of stories and background information that is very interesting. Highly recommend you go check it out if you're interested. So, but yeah, so I guess let's get into the main aspects of our topics for today. We'll try to not drag this on too long. Louis, I don't know if you have anything to do later tonight.
Nope, just this. When I plan for this.
Okay.
It's clear.
I know we always try to keep it within an hour, but it just balloons. It just balloons. So have you been keeping up with the Reddit fallout, and if so, do you have any like general thoughts on it?
Not very closely. Not very closely. I'm aware that third-party app developers were pretty upset because of the charging limits and quotas, and just the way they're doing their pricing for the red thing. And then part of the pushback was subreddits going dark and private as a way to protest, and I think that lasted a few days, and I think some of them are still doing it. Something about John Oliver there. Some I didn't quite follow that. I just saw it as a headline, like, okay. And then something about the CEO making fun of the moderators, talking about how they're not paid or whatever. And then I remember Fireship, this YouTube creator that makes programming videos, taking a jab at like the whole scenario, just throwing more fuel into it, seeing like LOL, like the Red CEO is just gonna kick off the moderators and reopen the subreddits. I'm like, I mean, yeah, that's a possibility.
No, they actually started doing that for some.
They actually started doing that.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Yeah, so I'm just kind of like, dang man, I'm just on Reddit sometimes. I didn't think the community was that serious, but I guess the community is that serious.
Yeah. So that's pretty much the gist of it. I will say at first I was just kind of like, okay, this is fun and entertaining. Generally, I have a principle guideline on if someone owns a platform, they can do whatever they want with that platform. You don't like it, just kick deuces and go somewhere else or make your own. That doesn't mean I don't respect people who fight for a communal type of culture that has been created there, but at the end of the day, what you desire is second to what the owner of a platform wants out of it. And again, if you don't like it, then let that thing die by just everyone moving out of it. Like that's the best way to get your point across. If they don't want to listen, then you simply stop giving them the users, the attention, the money, etc.
Right.
That aside, though, I do find I took a more vested interest in it after two events. One is what you talked about earlier about like the threat, and I think they did it for like 2 or 3 subreddits where they booted the mods, put it in their own, reopened them forcefully. Just to kind of generate more traffic and stuff again. And then it was just like, we will do this for others too if you don't stop. And then, of course, a lot of people kowtowed to it, which a lot of people was just like, typical Redditors, your power gets threatened and then you fold, which actually is on par. I don't know if you know this, Lewis, but like there's actually a... within like the last, I want to say 4 or 5 years, a problem arose with, well, not necessarily a problem, but a concern arose across all of Reddit. Did you know across every single subreddit that exists on Reddit, like more than 50% of the mod team were all the same?
So I want to go ahead and make a quick correction. So the actual numbers around this particular topic wasn't that the total amount of subreddits had about more than 50% of the mods being on all of these Reddits. It's more so just the about half of the top subreddits. So that's at range around the top 500s. We had anywhere between 6 to about 10 or 12 quote unquote power mods that were moderators across these top subreddits. Sorry for the confusion.
I did hear about that. Yes. I remember hearing about that. I was like, oh wow, that's that kind of stuff seems to be like what the typical Redditor tends to kind of hate and fear, like all this power in the hands of very few, and in practice, it's all this power in the hands of very few. And yeah, part of me is thinking like, well, if the community has this big problem with what the Reddit management is doing, or leadership, I suppose, and they were able to organize to the point where they got the CEO's attention enough for him to comment on it pretty strongly and start taking action and kicking people off, why can't you guys just also leave? I mean, at the end of the day, Reddit is the community, right? Yeah. You're the guys making the content on there. You guys can move somewhere else, maybe like the Fediverse, perhaps Mastodon. I know it's not a one-to-one thing because it's more like Twitter, not like a forum, and just, I don't know. It just seems like this problem could kind of solve itself. So we just kind of like you mentioned earlier, the thing about the it's not your data, right?
So it's just kind of wild to me in that sense. But then the second one that made me go like, okay, now I kind of want to see how things are going to move. The Apollo developer actually had a sit-down conversation. Well, I say sit-down. It was a phone call with CEO of Reddit. And they had a conversation, and they were talking about the situations, the API, what they can probably do. Try to find middle ground, try to work through it, which is, I commend both parties doing. Right? It's always a great thing to sit down and talk with people, try to get both sides, and try to figure out a solution, if possible, that satisfies the majority and gets across what you might want for the future. In this conversation, the CEO of Reddit mistook a statement from the Apollo developer. He was like, "Oh well, if you wanted us to play a game to your desires or whatever, you can always just I forget the quote. I don't have it on hand with me, but the CEO took it as a threat, saying, "Oh, you're gonna try to do something to our platform if we don't do what you want." And the Apollo developer was like, "Oh no, you misunderstood. I'm saying if you make your API better, then we can be more easily accustomed to follow what you want in terms of these new rules and policies for the API. But your API sucks right now." That's what he was trying to get across. And he went, "Oh, okay, cool, my bad, I misunderstood." And then turned around, went into the internal meeting at Reddit, and still said, "The Apollo developer is threatening us."
Man, that's pretty slimy. That's a break in trust.
Yes.
A break in trust for me, from a business standpoint.
And then people was like, how do you know that the Apollo dev is telling the truth? How do you know he really didn't threaten them? He recorded the conversation. So he has receipts.
Yeah, see, that's, if you don't have trust, you can't have business partnership at all. Like, it's just, there has to be the foundation, and if it's not there, then
Yeah. So
stupid decision. Yeah.
So when I see the CEO, who again, if he has plans, those are his plans. But when you have internal messages by saying, "Oh, this 2-day blackout is just noise. They're not important. They're just little insects making noise." Okay, that's one little.
Did I just say insects?
I don't know if he actually said insects. I do know he said it's just noise, and that it will pass. And I think Louis Rossman spoke about it, where he's just like, you do not tell the person that you're protesting how long you plan on protesting, because all that says is, "Oh, I know how long to wait it out, and then I can keep screwing you over." Anyway, but the whole calling people noise, making fun of moderators not being paid when they do decent amounts of moderation on your platform for free, and then you have this conversation. You took a threat that you thought was real, found out it wasn't, acknowledged that it wasn't, and then still try to use that for fuel to get people on your side. At that point, I'm just like, yeah, man, that's disgusting. Like you've shown you don't. To me, you don't deserve my respect. So you don't have it, and I've stopped using Reddit personally.
Okay. I was gonna say I never really did, but now like reading it's like, well, I mean,
so
there's just places to get info.
Right. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, so part of my theory behind this API lockdown was that, perhaps they're trying to keep their data more siloed because the data has become more and more precious. Perhaps they're working on some AI thing. Right now, as we speak, on redditinc.com/careers, staff software engineer, machine learning, prediction in quotes, remote, British Columbia, Canada, Ontario, Canada, Ontario, sorry, Canucks, and US. Yeah, so they're looking for machine learning people. I think that's likely the direction they're heading. They're trying to just feed it to someone, be a data warehouse, sell it to other people. That's just the new thing right now in the industry.
Everybody wants to go to where the iron is hot, and then try to pioneer that section of industry, so they can be like the forerunners for when it becomes stable and structured. And I respect the hustle. I understand the idea of wanting to go public, get the money, do all. I get it, but I just think there are better ways to go about it without being a jack donkey. So I don't know. And I was gonna say to expand on my Reddit usage. In terms of actually going to the site casually to check on stuff, I only went to the One Piece subreddit. So yeah, One Piece fan.
I was just saying, I started disliking Reddit more when you go visit the website on mobile. Like, hey, do you want to watch it? Like, mobile? Like, no, just please. I'm on browser. I know what I'm doing. I just want to see it on browser. I want to download the Reddit app.
Yes.
If I want to see on Reddit, I just don't go often enough on Reddit to use the app. And perhaps it's a lot of people's complaint, like, no, your app sucks. Right.
And that was my other use case for Reddit. Essentially, if I was at work or if I'm like working on some code and like I'm having this weird issue, I would go to Google or DuckDuckGo or even Bing, because I kind of want to see if Bing's getting better because of the increased traffic. But I would go search the query. Oh, Blue Cat, so and such. Reddit, because I want to see actual like developers. I don't want to see the fluff by the creators of whatever platform. I want to see other people who might be in my same situation. So it's Stack Overflow and Reddit, and I would click on the link, go to the browser portion of it, and I would be told, oh, I was like, no, I just want to read a quick answer, just a quick answer.
See, what I would do is like, nope, old.reddit.com. I would just switch the URL. I'm like, damn it, I hate this new UI.
I used to use Reddit a lot back in like college, right? Like just going to random subreddit. This is back when Aaron Swartz, the co-creator of Reddit, was still alive. I don't know how to like talk about his death without being somber, because he took his own life, and that's very sad. He was a brilliant dude, just very troubled. But yeah, and like I don't know, like ever since he was taken out of the picture and other people started pushing Reddit into different directions, the UI got worse. Subreddit. Oh, what you gonna say?
I said taking out the picture, and then knowing how he took himself out, you do to pictures. You. Oh yeah. Just me going somewhere else.
See, I need like an HR person to just sit across from me who's just like, shut the fuck up, shut up. But yeah, no, I ever since afterwards, I think Reddit's been on the decline in terms of quality. In terms of use case, I don't know the traffic or whatever, blah 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 blah. But ever since then, it's just not have been the same. But yeah. But yeah, man, I'm interested to see where this goes. I do think now much of the protest is over, and we're just going to go back to the norm, which is disappointing to say the least. So, Redditors, it's in your court. You are the users. You decide just by using or don't.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, now we got
You guys are the data. Well, what's that one saying? If you're not paying for the product, you're the product.
Yes.
Facebook, essentially, a lot of these platforms.
Yeah.
Surprise! I guess you probably already came to this conclusion based upon just listening to this particular episode, but we're going to go ahead and cut this into 2 parts. Mainly because the session was 3.5 hours and we weren't sure people would want to sit through the whole 3 hour and 30 minutes. So episode 4 will be the first half of this session, and episode 5 will be the second half, and sometime down the line, if anyone is interested, we'll release a full 3.5 cut of the session for its completeness. Thank you, and I can't wait to see you in part 2.
Essence of Zen After Dark is recorded by and for geeks and nerds alike. The intro and outro songs were provided by ProLeader, who you can find at proleader.bandcamp.com. That is PROLETER.bandcamp.com. If you have suggestions for topics you want to see on the show, then feel free to drop by discord.chat/Essence of Zen and join the community and give us said suggestions. Thank you.